What is up, guys? Welcome on back to yet another mock draft this season. And the reason why I'm doing so many on this year, I just think this year's kind of this year's a tough one. It's like you see so many mock drafts, and you know, guys that were rated second round guys are now being pushed up to the first round. You know, the fifth rated tackle is now the second rated tackle. So it's just like that to me shows that this draft is not, it's got some consistent players, but not a lot of stars in it. But if you've never been here, welcome. And I do my mock draft simply on what I would do if I was in the GM spot. I'm not trying to guess what these teams are going to do. I honestly think this is going to be a very entertaining draft to watch. I think there's going to be some trading and some moving up and down and moving around and some surprises and things like that. So, in fact, there was a guy, the quarterback named Jackson Dart. I'm watching people having him go to the top 10 pick. He wasn't even considered a first-round pick up until not too long ago. So I don't know what the fuck has changed. This draft is so goddamn all over the place. So I just feel like I've got to do multiples. But a lot of these picks, I'm going to stay true to what I've done in the past as far as, you know, the guys, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's get it started. So Tennessee's in a very, very good spot to trade. I don't think Cam Ward is the messiah or anything like that. I'm a Hurricanes fan. I've seen him play a bunch. I don't think he's bad. I think he can come in and play pretty good. I think he's got like above average starter qualities to him. I don't see a massive upside. He's not fast. For some reason, they're talking about him like he's real mobile. He's really kind of not. His arm is like above average to very good. He's not a guy that I saw tear apart defenses. He's kind of more like a poor man's Caleb Williams, where he just makes plays off of broken stuff, which is fine. He's gonna be one of those guys that has great games, and then he's gonna struggle. Great games, struggle, and I don't see a very high ceiling for him as far as being worthy of the first pick. Do I think he's going to be bad? No, I think he's going to come in and be pretty good. I just don't think I think if Tennessee drafts him number one, they'll be frustrated. They'll think, oh shit, you know, we could have gone another direction. But if we were just patient, I feel like a lot of these franchises, in reality, they get impatient because people's jobs are on the line. So you reach for a quarterback at number one that probably shouldn't be there, to be blunt, and you know, eventually they either lose their jobs or Cameron Ward coming to be a star. I don't know. I hope he is. He's from the Hurricanes. He's got a great story. I hope he's a star. I just don't see it. But anyway, with the first pick, if I am them, I'm picking the best player in the entire draft. They do have Will Levis, so I think if they can kind of coach him up, he's got all the tools to be very, very good. I think Will Levis' ceiling is significantly higher than Cameron Ward's. I just don't know if he's good of a quarterback. You know, Cameron Ward seems to be just a better quarterback than Will. I think Cameron Ward's better than Will Levis. I just think that if I'm Tennessee, maybe grab a veteran or something like that. Be patient this season and go grab the best player in this draft, who is Jalen Walker. Usually when I harp on a player and I say he's the best player in the draft, not to say that I'm like a messiah or anything, they usually are at least a top two player in the draft. I think Jalen Walker is significantly better than Abdul Carter. And the reason why I say that, I think Abdul Carter still has to grow in his frame. Abdul Carter is a spectacular athlete. Abdul Carter would be a great first pick. I think Jalen Walker is NFL fucking ready. You put Jalen Walker in, he is instantly one of your best players on defense. Instantly, if not your best player. I love Jalen Walker. I think he's going to be an absolute fucking beast in the NFL. And he is fucking ready. He's got the body. I think Abdul Carter's still a little bit small. Abdul Carter can get kind of he's been like kind of sucked up in the blocks, meaning he's got a little bit of a harder time getting off blocks simply because he's a little bit smaller. But man, I love Abdul Carter. Do not get me wrong. I am just super fucking massively high on Jalen Walker. I think he is incredible. All right, so the Browns. Now, in reality, I keep forgetting to look up the situation there with the Browns. So I'm assuming they still have. Let me look it up real quick. Do they still have Deshaun Walker? Is it Walker? No. Oh, Watson. Sorry, Watson. Sorry, Watson. God damn it. It's funny, I go back and I watch these fucking videos and I make so many mistakes. I don't think he's around anymore. Let me read up on him real quick. Called him a big swing and a miss. Now, the owner called him a swing and a miss. He might be trying to motivate him. So he's going to be part of the team in 2025. Okay, so the Browns are in a weird spot because the Browns are so talented, but their talent's coming up to being paid and all that stuff. And I think they're kind of in a reboot. I don't know if I put a young quarterback in the same quarterback room with Deshaun Watson, to be completely blunt. I truly think they need a leader. I think they need a leader in that locker room. I think that's what they're missing. They have a great coach. I think they need a leader. And I'm going to pick a defensive player here. I'm not going to pick the one that you think I'm going to pick, but I think this guy would fit them absolutely perfectly. I don't think he's necessarily much of a reach at two, simply because he's great on the field, and I think he'll be great in the locker room. And I think Cleveland needs an identity. They need to start getting a culture. And I think this guy would be great for them, and that's Mason Graham. I think Mason Graham would be a great fit in that locker room. I know a lot of you guys are going to be gasping here, but I just, some of the things I look at when I'm looking at players are, hey, can they contribute off the field as well, as far as putting this team back into winning mode? And if you got a guy like Deshaun Watson who's not going to be there and your cap is fucking strapped, you may as well just start drafting like this to build your team back up again. There's always next year. The quarterbacks in this draft aren't the best, and you can get one maybe next round if you really need to get one. But I think this draft is a good opportunity to grab really good players because other teams are going to be reaching for quarterbacks. That's just my opinion. Just my opinion. The Giants have Jameis Winston, who I think will be fine starting this year. I think the Giants are in one of those modes where, again, like I said last time, they could take a shot. If I'm the GM, I would consider taking a Cameron Ward or something like that here. I just think with Jameis Winston there, you now have an opportunity to build in other spots. I do know they need a quarterback, and I know 99.9% of you would take one here. I just don't think it's necessary to grab one here with Jameis Winston. Just go with him for the season. Maybe draft one later as a development guy. I don't think this is the draft to go grab your franchise quarterback in. If in the top 5, in my opinion, this is just not that draft. But if I'm the Giants, I'm going to go grab a big time playmaker and just grab Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, big personality, big playmaker, can play both sides of the ball. He can play receiver next to neighbors, and Winston can get those guys the ball without a problem. He's got the gun, and he's shown at times he can be good. I just think that the Giants would be super fucking exciting and fun to watch with Jameis Winston there, Malik Neighbors, Travis Hunter. Keep building that defense, keep building the offensive line. And, if you need to move on from Jameis Winston next year, the quarterbacks next year are probably going to be better. And what's the worst that happens? You lose a lot and you go get Archie Manning or whoever the fuck's there next year. It's significantly better than what they have this year. So I would not reach for a quarterback here. I would grab Travis Hunter. He's the best, two-way player we've seen in a very long time. And he doesn't have to come in and be the main guy right off the bat. He can play corner right off the bat. He can grow into his body and play some more receiver later on. I think Travis Hunter is a fucking perfect fit in the Giants. All right, and they got a great head coach. I love Brian Daboll. I think he's really good. All right, the Patriots, they got their quarterback. They don't need one. If I'm the Patriots, as an edge rusher right there, I'm going to grab Abdul Carter. He's a perfect fit there. Perfect fit. The perfect 34 stand-up linebacker. He can play inside. He can play outside. He's kind of Jalen Walker. These two guys are kind of the same thing. You can put him at middle linebacker and they'll be your best player. They can put him at pass rusher. They'll be your number one pass rusher. I just think Jalen Walker is about, he's 10 pounds bigger. He's just more of an NFL body. He can come in and play quicker. That's the only reason why I have Walker over Carter. And Carter's got a little bit of injury. He looks like a guy that could be injury prone in the NFL. Just that's what he looks like to me. At least at first, I think he needs to grow a little bit. But you're not losing grabbing. If Carter would have already been gone, you're not losing there. You're doing fine. All right, with the 5th pick, the Jaguars defensive tackle, tight end, corner, offensive tackle. So they do need a tight end, and I fucking love Tyler Warren. The more I see Tyler Warren, the more I think he's one of the top 3 best football players in the draft, the top 5 at least. So I think Tyler Warren would be a great fit there. Gives them a tight end, gives them a target for their quarterback they just committed to, and he's a no-lose pick. You plug him and play him in. If you go watch him play, he's fucking awesome. He kind of reminds me of oh god, Jeremy Shockey. That's kind of reminds me of. He's kind of a tough nose, like a Brock Bowers. He's just not as big. But I know tight end's kind of high. I am in the mode of just pick a great football player high. That's just how I think. I'm just in the mode of if there's a great football player there, grab him. Corner, running back, receiver, safety, safety, defensive tackle. I don't know if there's a defensive tackle we're picking here. Corner, there is Will Johnson. They could go that direction. I'm in the mode of building defenses, building up a defense. They don't need offensive line. That's kind of weird. They don't need offensive line. Safety. I don't think there's a safety worth grabbing up there. There's not a generational safety. I just think JT's a generational back. He's the best player at the positions they need available, so he's the guy to grab there. All right, the Jets. The Jets need offensive line. To me, I would take the best offensive lineman available. It's Mamu. I think he's the most versatile offensive line. I think you pick him and you can't lose. They picked Fashanu, I think it was last year. You got those two guys at your ends, you're doing fine. You are doing very well with those two guys as your linemen. And like I said, in this draft here, you can grab a guy later. You can grab a guy later. You don't have to reach for a quarterback here. And I do think Cameron Ward is a reach. I do think he's a reach. As far as top 5, I could draft him around here. Who knows? All right, Panthers, so we have Cam Ward here. So if the draft falls this way, you're going to start seeing desperate teams running up and draft. Like the Colts. If I'm the Colts and I start seeing Cameron Ward dropping, I would trade up and go grab him. That's kind of. I think the Colts are a perfect fit for Ward. If he can drop to them, that would be great for them. But who knows? But because Ward would be great on a team that already has an established culture, that he doesn't have to be the #1 guy. He can come in and just kind of grow with the team. You draft Cameron Ward and he's got to fucking carry the team. I'm telling you, you're gonna be disappointed. All right, the Panthers, corner, center, safety, edge, wide receiver. Tucker, stop. Yeah, my dog's looking at his asshole. Shamir Stewart. God, they got the 1.5 sacks. I don't like drafting a guy that was unproductive this high, but that was my knock on Chop Robinson, and let me tell you, he was fucking awesome last year. He was a great football player. I don't know what they're doing in the building there as far as what their vision is. I don't think it's a bad vision. I just don't really know what they're doing. Corner, safety, center. I do think that they need a player who can kind of come in and plug and play and play well right off the bat. I think Starks would be good for them. They do need a safety. Malachi Starks, looks like an NFL vet. If you watch him play, he's very smart. He's always in the right spot. He's not physically dominant like it was a Hamilton from the Ravens. He's not like a physically 6'4", 220 or anything like that. But he's a very good football player. And if you pick Starks, he's just a plug and play starter. I know it's kind of boring, but he's a plug and play starter. And later on, you can get some weapons and everything like that for Bryce Young, who I do think is going to actually work out. I do like Bryce Young a lot. All right, the Saints. The Saints need a guard, receiver, corner, edge, running back. I'm going to go probably in a different direction here. I'm assuming they still have Derek Carr. Let's do the Saints lineup here. Oh, Saints roster. Let's see who their roster is. Because I want to pick a guy for them, but I don't know who their roster is. Position. All right, so if I am the Saints, I'm gonna grab Cameron Ward here. I'm gonna grab Ward, but if I'm the Colts, I'm calling the Saints. I just think that he's a perfect fit. But I think Cam Ward would be good with someone like a Derek Carr. Their styles are very similar. Derek Carr, I think, would be completely willing to teach him, and I think Cameron Ward would be a perfect. One of the few teams he'd be a perfect fit on is the Saints. So I think that's kind of where he should be going. I remember watching him this season. Take it off. You just take a shot on him in the second round, you'll probably get a good value out of him. I didn't realize he'd be like the first pick of the draft, but I think Cameron Ward, you'd get a good value out of him here, and I think that he's in a really good spot here. I think he's in a good spot. He can have a guy that kind of show him the way, and I think his ceiling would be a little bit higher if he sat a year. I really, truly do. I think he needs to come in and kind of sit a little bit. All right, the Bears, they've got their quarterback. They don't need one, so they need tackle, running back, safety, edge. Just grab Campbell. Just grab Will Campbell. Yeah, I don't know if he's the best tackle available, but I think he'd fit very, very well there. And you just gotta protect your number one player, your quarterback. All right, San Francisco defensive tackle, corner, linebacker, edge, guard. San Fran, I don't know what their plan is again. Some guys are really moving up in this draft. Why is he down so low? Defensive tackle, corner, defensive. The problem is there's not really any big-time defensive tackles in this. Derek Harmon, I guess, could be there. I know the guy from the two guys from Michigan are highly rated. 6'4", 313. Yeah, let's just grab him. Let's just grab Harmon. He's going about where he should be, and he's going to the team he probably should be going to. So I don't know what else to say. All right, the Cowboys running back, edge, guard, corner, wide receiver. I don't know what the locker room is as far as the Micah Parsons goes, but I do think another pass rusher he would be very, very open to, and I think Stewart's a good guy to put there because he doesn't have to be the number one guy. And he's physically dominant, so you can kind of get two physical alphas there, and that hopefully, if this would be the pick if I sat down with Parsons and he was willing to kind of show Stewart the way. So let's just say Parsons like, yeah, I'm all in on putting someone on the other side. Yeah, Stewart's the pick. If that's not the case, Will Johnson or someone like that, or maybe even like a Shadur Sanders, to be honest, to come in and play under Prescott for a year or so. But I'm assuming in my world, Parsons said, yeah, let's move forward with another pass rusher, and I'll be happy to help him out. And Stewart, he's just physically dominant. He just really is. When you watch him play, he's just so fucking raw. That's the problem with him. He either bulls through someone or he can't get off a block. He's fucking weird, that guy. All right, so the Dolphins have plenty of options here. The problem with the Dolphins is their need now is offensive line, and they need it badly. They need it badly. To me, they desperately need another corner. Will Johnson would be the best move if Teron Armstead stayed. Will Johnson would be the guy. Let's look at the defense. Let's look at the corners that are available and will be available next year. Oh wow, Rebel and Morrison and Amos. Holy shit. Never mind. I might change actually. Those guys are there. Yeah. See, I don't think these guys are really worth it. We'll just grab Kelvin Banks. I just think the Dolphins have to start getting better and deeper on the offensive line. That's been their bane for a very long time. Armstead goes down and they're fucked. They're fucked. They just got a bunch of guys who work hard who aren't very talented. That's the problem with them. And I don't think Patrick Paul's going to be special. I think he's going to be a lifetime backup or something. He might start. I don't think he'll be great. I do like Austin Jackson. I think he's solid, but he's not special. Kelvin Banks Jr. will offer some special, at least physical traits. They did get some really good guards in free agency, so I think adding Banks would really, really make that offensive line a lot better. I know if Armstead was staying, I would take a chance on maybe someone like a Josh Simmons, where I can give him kind of a year to kind of still kind of get back from that injury. But I think Banks is a plug and play guy, and I think the Dolphins would be in good shape just grabbing Simmons or Banks. If they didn't need offensive line, I would love to grab a Jihad Campbell, who is one of my favorite players in the draft, or Will Johnson, someone like that. But, you know, it's not the reality, unfortunately. But they could go in a different direction. They could grab a tight end. Who fucking knows what the Dolphins are going to do? The Colts, I'm grabbing Shedeur Sanders if I'm the Colts. I don't think Trent Richardson I don't think that guy's the fucking real deal. I forget his name. Richardson. I don't think he's the Anthony Richardson. So I would grab Shedeur Sanders and I'd probably try to trade Richardson. To be honest with you, I don't think he's the real deal. If I was a brand new GM coming in, he dropped there, I would instantly put Richardson on trade block. Maybe try to grab a pick next year or pick this year or something like that. I don't even think you'd get much for him. I think you'd get like a 5th round pick for him. To be honest, I don't think many teams would be jumping to grab Richardson. I just don't. All right, the Falcons. The Falcons have their quarterbacks, so they don't need a quarterback. So corner, defensive tackle, edge, safety, linebacker. So this would be a tough one because if you need a corner, Will Johnson's there. I love Will Johnson. I think he's awesome. You also have Mike Green. You also have Michael Williams, who is fucking awesome, and he's Georgia. Be create a lot of buzz. There's the safety who can make some plays. He's a good player. I would grab Johnson. It's really tough to get a really good corner. And I think Johnson is going to come in and be a very good player right off the bat. I don't think he'll be bad. He doesn't have bust written all over him to me. I think Johnson would be a great pick here for the Falcons. And I know it's kind of boring to grab a corner, but, you know, Atlanta's building. They're building to get better. Picks like this is what put you over the top, in my opinion. You know, being patient and picking good players at important positions and things like that. So, anyway, the Cardinals, edge, defensive tackle, wide receiver, guard, linebacker. They could go McMillan here. The more I see him, the more I actually kind of like him. You could go with the 2 fucking stud receivers side to side. You can go defensive tackle here with, what the fuck is he? Who the fuck's a defensive tackle if you're from Michigan? I guess Tyreek Williams, Kenneth Grant. You can go Kenneth Grant here. I don't know if I'd pick Kenneth Grant at 16. Edge, it'd be hard to pass up on Green. Hard to pass up on, even harder to pass up, in my opinion, on Michael Williams. I would grab Michael Williams. I think they need to start getting players who can kind of be plug-in and play players, even though McMillan would be fucking awesome there, but that's a tough one. All right, the Bengals, they've got so much money and everything tied up in their receivers, they're not going to pick a receiver. Edge, defensive tackle, guard, corner. If I'm the Bengals, you gotta keep Burrow upright and playing. He's gonna be fucking Andrew Luck retiring at 29. So I would grab Tyler Booker here. I think Tyler Booker's one of the better players in the draft. So Tyler Booker drops down to the Bengals. I think that'd be a great pick for them. A little bit boring, but they've got their receivers shored up. They got their quarterback shored up, and they need to keep him. They need to keep him from not getting hit. At very least, Booker can be some high quality depth. At very least. So I think that's important. Offensive line depth is completely overlooked, but I don't think that'll happen. I think Booker coming in and start for them right away. All right, Seattle Seahawks. They just traded DK Metcalf, which I've been saying for 2 years they're going to, and they should. If I am them, there's a guard, tackle, corner, edge. Oh, this is a tough one. You know, I'm going to grab, for them, I would grab... Oh, God, this is a tough one. You know what? I'd grab Simmons. I just think he's too good to drop down. I love Josh Simmons. I think he's great. And I do think he's one of those tackles that could play guard. I think he could. He's very athletic. He's kind of like a pulling tackle. He's awesome. And like I've shown before the injury, he was probably the highest rated offensive lineman in the draft. 6'3", 325. He doesn't look 325. He looks a lot leaner than that. And if you watch his like highlights and things that he can do good, he's always pulling. He's being athletic. I think Josh Simmons Like I would not mind if Miami picked the Dolphins picked Josh Simmons, but I just think Banks would fit them better. Josh Simmons is he's a plug and play guy. They've already got Smith and Jigba, who I think I think the world of Smith and Jigba. He's one of the best receivers I've ever seen in college. I just think he's a polished route runner, and I think that the Seahawks will be grabbing a good player there. I don't know who their quarterback is, though. Who's Seattle's quarterback? They've got to have someone they like out of the draft. They have to. But they're going to get... I think quarterbacks are going to get drafted in the second round. A lot of quarterbacks are going to get drafted in the second round of this draft. I think people are going to end up... They're going to end up saying thanks, but no thanks, and drafting them in the second round. Or there's going to be a ton of trades and people can reach in, and you're going to be getting a bunch of good players higher up in the draft. So Sam Darnold. Oh, okay, yeah, you're good. Sam Darnold and Sam Howell. Yeah, you're good at quarterback. They're good at quarterback, so they don't need one. Josh Simmons, perfect. Boom. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Corner, safety, edge, linebacker, defensive tackle. I'm grabbing Mike Green here. Mike Green, I think I grabbed him in the last draft there. Mike Green's a perfect fit here. He's undersized, but he's extremely polished. When I saw him in the Senior Bowl, again, I know I've said this before about him, but he was, as far as how he moved and as far as getting off blocks, he was a veteran among rookies. That's what he looked like to me. He looked like he had like veteran moves, but the problem is he's a little bit small. I don't know what he's labeled at. They say he's 6'3", 251. If he's that size, he'll plug and play, he'll be fine. And he's going to a defensive-minded head coach. He's going to a veteran team that's kind of, you know, a playoff caliber team. He can learn from a bunch of guys in the locker room. It's a perfect fit. All right, the Broncos. Running back, receiver, linebacker, corner, tight end. I would grab McMillan here. I wouldn't let him drop anymore. Or Golden, one of those two guys. I think McMillan would be a good kind of trade-off to be a big receiver for Bo Nix. And I don't see him dropping there. You can grab someone else there, but I don't see him dropping too much more there. All right, the Steelers. There's a lot of good running backs in this draft, and I know they need one. I wouldn't grab one here if I'm them. Not because I don't like running backs. I love running backs. But there's a lot of other players they can grab. The Steelers. I would grab Kenneth Grant here. He's a 34th lineman. So he was. Sorry, I'm keep dropping my pen. He's a good fit here. Kenneth Grant's a great fit here. I think they would be happy with him. The Chargers, defensive tackle, tight end, wide receiver. I think they should grab, in my opinion, right here, Loveland. Loveland might be a better tight end in the NFL as far as the NFL's game goes than Tyler Warren. I don't think so, though. I think they're going to be about the same. I think you get Loveland at a really good value here, and I just think that Loveland would fit what they're going for there. I think their culture is just more of a kind of ground and pound, and you know, play within the seams, things like that. So I think the Chargers would be happy to have Loveland. They could go Golden here in reality, but I would go Loveland there. I just think Loveland's plug and play, and you got your tight end for a while. All right, Green Bay Packers, edge, corner, wide receiver. See, all the edges are gone. Linebacker. Okay, I'm grabbing Campbell for them. Jahad Campbell. He can play edge. He can rush the passer. He's in the mold of Walker and Carter. He can do everything. You can put him anywhere. In fact, do not be surprised if Abdul Carter is the third best pass rushing linebacker in this draft. Do not be surprised. Don't be surprised if it's Jahad Campbell and Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker 1A, Jahad Campbell 1B. I think Campbell's that good. Jahad Campbell is physically ready to come in and play. And I think at 23, you're going to get a Pro Bowler. I think that highly of him. I think Abdul Carter has injury prone off the bat and starting slow written all over him in the NFL. Do I think he's going to be bad? Absolutely not. I think Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker, and Jahad Campbell are all going to be fucking awesome. All three of them. And you can put them literally anywhere. I love players like that. I absolutely love players like those guys. You can put them in the middle. You can blitz them through seams. You can put their hand on the ground. They can do fucking anything. Cover tight ends. They can do anything. Love those guys. Anyway, Minnesota Vikings. Safety, corner, edge, guard. If I am the Vikings, they have a young quarterback. I'm grabbing Zabel. I think he can do everything. I know that Barron and this guy here, I don't want to say his last name wrong. This guy here, there, even Golden would not be bad there as a number 2, and you can put, or in the slot or something would be a fucking great fit. But I think Gray Zabel's a guy that'll come in and he can play center, he can play tackle, he can play guard, he can play anything. I think Zabel is a great fit for what they're trying to do there. So that's what I would do if I'm them. I'd grab Gray Zabel. I think he's awesome. Houston Texans, tackle, guard, center. Oh shit, they need all offensive line. Wide receiver, defensive tackle. Okay, they're going to have to draft offensive lineman later. I'm grabbing Golden here. I think he'd be a perfect fit. I know that they have a defensive coach. They'll probably end up going getting a defensive player, because I think more quarterbacks are going to be going in the first round than I have here. So I think they're going to have a good player, like a Jahad Campbell or Kenneth Grant or maybe Mike Green, someone like that, drop to them. But in the specific draft, I would grab Golden for them. I love him. I think Matthew Golden's the best receiver in this draft. From what I've seen, he's the best receiver in the draft. I think he's fucking awesome. I think he's going to come in and be like a Zay Flower or something like that. At least be productive right off the bat. All right, the Rams, linebacker, corner, edge, tight end, running back. They do need a running back. I'm not a big fan of the running back, but linebacker, corner, edge. Yeah, let's grab Gordon. Put on the other side of the guy they got from last year from Florida State. I don't remember his name. He ended up being really good. In fact, my brother Badass called that. He liked him out of Florida State. I was like, I don't know about him. But yeah, he's a fucking badass. I'm just Gordon on the other side. Plus, you can kind of learn from that guy and all that stuff. I just think that'd be a nice fit. All right, Baltimore Ravens, guard, corner, edge, linebacker, safety. Yeah, interior offensive lineman in the draft. He drops them, grab them. I mean, I'm offensive line all the way. If you need one of the guys there, grab them. And I think Baltimore they're built from the inside out with a great quarterback. You can't lose. The Lions, edge, guard, corner, safety, receiver. They just lost a safety. They do need another corner, so it's one of these two guys. I would grab him. I grabbed this guy. I like him a lot, actually. I can't say his name. Emenwari? Is that how you say his name? He's a good player. And I think he's dropping about where he should be, to be honest. All right, Washington. I think he's going to be a really high pick, or he's going to drop in the second round. I think he's in a weird spot. All right, the Commanders, edge, corner, safety, linebacker. Okay, so we've got wide receiver. We got some good options here. I love this guy here. There's no more real edges to pick. You could pick Pierce here. I don't think he's a plug-and-play guy. I think Barron is the better player, so I'm going to pick Barron for them. I think they do need corner badly, and I think you're kind of set with Barron especially. He's kind of a puzzle piece, too. You can put him outside. You can put him at the slot. Barron's a good player. You put him at safety. I think he's a good player. I like Barron a lot, and I think he's going to go higher than this, but as far as this is going, this is just where he's dropping. All right, Buffalo, corner, defensive tackle, linebacker, edge, wide receiver. I think they need to get back to their roots and grab a corner, and I'm grabbing Rebel. Rebel's a great fit there. He's got the frame. He's going to one of the best defensive minds in the league. He's going to a place where he can kind of grow and won't be a big... the spotlight won't be on him constantly. He's 6'1", 194. He can grow into that defense. He's got really, really good players around him. He can learn from a great culture. I think Rebel will be perfect in Buffalo. Anyway, Kansas City Chiefs, defensive tackle, guard, edge, offensive tackle, safety. Oh, shit. He wouldn't fit their defense, Tyreek Williams. He's more of a fit there. I would grab Williams. I would grab this guy here. I actually like him a lot. And I think he can play both. Yeah, he's a right tackle, which means he could probably play inside if they need him. I think Kansas City needs to get another lineman who's a little bit versatile, and I think he would fit that pretty well. In fact, the perfect fit for them would be this guy, Mambu, but he's going to be gone. All right, the Eagles, corner, edge, guard, defensive tackle. They run a 43, don't they? Huh. Run a 43. I grabbed Nolan. I think it's a good fit. I grabbed Nolan. Anyway, here's the results. I hope you guys like them. I know there's going to be some comments kind of wowing at some of my picks, but you know, Mason Graham again was a pick, not necessarily because I think he's one of the best players in the draft. I just think he's a locker room guy too. I think Cleveland needs a locker room guy to come on that side of the ball with their coach, and you know, I wouldn't be opposed to grabbing Carter there too. Carter, I think, could actually kind of make up for the JOK, the guy that got injured. He can play that role. He can kind of do that. So putting Abdul Carter here, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I just think Mason Graham in that town, giving them some grit, and putting him on the defensive line with Myles Garrett would be just as good as giving Abdul Carter another guy on the side. Because if you can't control the middle, it's really difficult to blitz from the outside. So Mason Graham alone would take off some heat from Myles Garrett. So I just think Mason Graham is a better fit. In my opinion, he's a better fit. If I'm the Browns, I maybe call them up, have them trade up, grab some assets, and grab Graham at 4. That's what I would probably do, or try to do anyway. Tyler Warren, I think, is a great fit there. He's just high. I would maybe trade down, try to get some assets and grab him a little later. Maybe trade down to someone like the Saints or the Colts who would be willing to come up and grab a quarterback. So that right there, I think Tyler Warren would be a great pick for them, but down here as with a trade. Ashton Jeanty, they had a bunch of needs. I think he's a kind of a once in a generational kind of running back, and you grab him at 6, and you just kind of grab other players. They need so much anyway. Mambu, the best offensive lineman in the draft, goes to the Jets. Starks, plug and play, veteran type safety right out of college. Cameron Ward can learn under Derek Carr, maybe even take over for him this year at some point. Great fit in the Saints. Will Campbell, plug and play guy. Derek Harmon comes in and fills a need of what they have. Stewart, again, this would be simply having a conversation with Parsons and things like that, and just trying to grab someone who's a little bit raw who can be productive as the season goes along. Dolphins, Calvin Banks Jr. I love the guy, but hesitantly pick him because I really think that they need to keep building on that defense with Will Johnson or Jade Campbell, something like that, or even a tight end, but to kind of complement the guy they have. I don't remember his name now. God damn it. Shitter Sanders to the Colts. They need to desperately they need a guy like him. They need a guy who can kind of manage the game, pick a defense apart, who's smart. I think Anthony Richardson was a bad pick right off the bat. He was a bad fit, and I would try to trade Richardson. Will Johnson doesn't drop past here. Falcons would grab him up. I would grab him there. Michael Williams, nice fit there. Plug and play guy. He's really good at getting off blocks. He doesn't need a ton of coaching. He just needs more physical development and experience. Tyler Booker, they need to keep their quarterback upright. Josh Simmons, exceptional value, best offensive lineman in the draft before the season, before his injury. They grab a guy for their veteran quarterback in the running game. Mike Green, very, very polished player, step right into a solid defense and contribute. McMillan, really good value, dropping down, giving Bo Nix a really, really fucking big, good target, athletic, skilled target to throw the ball to. I think he's going to drop. I don't think he'll drop this low, but I think he will drop. He could either be picked like number 3 or he could be picked down here. He's weird to me. I watch him sometimes. I'm like, he looks a little slow. Then I watch him and it's like no one can cover him. The ball's in there. It's just he's. I think for where he would be going here, would be perfect. Kenneth Grant, perfect fit. Loveland, perfect fit. Jahad Campbell. I mean, Jesus Christ, how many great linebackers and pass rushers do you need in Green Bay? but it's like it's hard to pass up on him, and it was kind of a need, so it's great to grab him. Zabel, perfect fit. Golden, great fit, I think would be there. Scorden, great fit. Donovan Jackson, beautiful fit. This guy here, great fit. Barron, beautiful fit. I don't think he'll drop there. I think he'll be picked higher. Revel, I think could absolutely come to the Bills. Be drafted here. He could easily be drafted here. Ursi, just a very good versatile lineman, and Walter Nolan, just a good solid player that kind of drops them. He could go higher as well. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.